Now, what is your ugly point? What is so glorious? We have to get out at the beginning to build up all the other points. What is it?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm laughing. Just before I start, I'm laughing because obviously Anivia is now a top laner, not a mid laner. So
Sure.
maybe he's a top laner.
Sure. Yeah, maybe.
Mr. Frog. Okay. Okay. So my ugly point. So I really want to start on this ugly point because I think that the LEC format, in a fearless. So fearless is the big thing. So I'm not the biggest fan of fearless. I think it's a really good thing to have for one split a year. But I think the novelty, it's really good right now, but the novelty will wear off over time. But I think it's a good thing. I think just shaking things
Okay.
up for the fans is really good. However, the entire world is playing fearless, and LEC first stand starts on the 10th of March. Okay, I don't know when the champions fly out, but I know that the first game is on the 10th of March. We're recording this on the 14th of February. So in less than a month, first stand starts. It's a fearless format, fearless international format, and the LEC hasn't played a single, well, I mean, best of one is technically fearless, but a single like
Sure.
best of 3 or best of 5 in the fearless format. And we have an international competition in 3.5 weeks. So like, I mean, I'm not sure what this is. Like, I'm not sure what it's going to, what this means for our chances to do well internationally. Like, I think that we're going to have our coaches and whoever's doing draft within teams, whether it's leading players or coaches, is going to they're not going to have any practice in the format. We're not necessarily even selecting, okay, I think it's unlikely, but maybe Rogue and SK were really good fearless teams.
Okay.
Very unlikely,
Sure.
but maybe they were, right?
Sure.
And we'll just never know because we've played it. We've done an entire round robin of best of one with no fearless at all. I have seen, even in LTA, which has a let's not talk about LTA like the Americans format, but even in those formats, which have only been going on for like 3 game weekends now, you've seen innovations, right? As people have adapted their drafting style to the new format. But in Europe, we've just decided we're just not going to do it. I mean, why? If fearless is the thing you're going to do, why do it this way around? That's what I don't understand.
Okay. What do you think, Young Buck?
So I actually also like that they included in the format, and again, it's just a way of Riot trying to get as much viewership as possible, and I think that is actually a good thing. Also as a novelty, and as a coach, you're probably dreaming of something like this because I feel like this is where a good drafting coach can really shine because you have to really think off the cuff and find solutions in the moment because of the countless scenarios you can face. I'll agree with Peter. So what I think is not very likely to happen is that suddenly a team is exposed for really bad drafting. What I can see happening though is that other teams that have experience with it have figured out when they're on stage like which arguments are going to come up in the moment
Right.
and have been able to discuss it and going to go over it. And it's very likely that some LEC teams are going to go on stage in a second, third, or fourth game, and there's going to be an argument, and they haven't been there before, and they haven't solved it yet, and the coach doesn't trust the player doesn't trust the coach or a teammate, and so it's quite possible that hilarity may ensue there, or like a lot of problems arise within a team.
Okay. I will say on the format point that Peter makes, if people only follow LEC, not only does every other region play at least BO3s, the LPL was playing BO5 the whole time. And it not only does this mean that they've been playing Fearless and we haven't, but then if you actually look at the playoffs of LEC, it only becomes BO5 when you're in the top 4 portion, actually. It's BO3 to start with. So you also, by the way, if you actually were a team that were like, let's say Fnatic is the best team and they're going to be a team that has a chance at the first stand, they won't even played many BO5s by the time they get to the BO5s at the first stand. Like, they could play an LPL team that's played like 10 games, 10 series of it or something crazy like that. And they're doing it against the best teams in the world. Then also, I'll agree with that latter point you made there, Young Buck. The part that people haven't thought of is this. They're just thinking of the fun ones where, like, the joke, look, Rogue is terrible, so this would never happen. But if Adam had been there, maybe there would be a mad angle in a game 4 where he could pick out one of those bullshit gods champions. The other guy never played with it in this matchup and doesn't have something prepared. And then you just get an edge. It's like, oh, wow, I love this novelty and this gimmick. What they don't know is there's going to be like a game 3 in one of these BO3s that an LEC team team players. And if people don't know, there are wars behind the scene anyway on what you're going to play in the draft. And people, I know coaches hate it when the player like last second changes his fucking pick. And it's like, I was headed towards like 3 things and you've just picked something out of nowhere. So I can't even imagine how many like people are going to blame the draft because they lost, or a teammate because he didn't pick what we thought they'd pick, or even worse, this is an angle I've thrust out there. If you think it's bad, that thing of maybe BDS got the leak that G2 was going to do that lane swap. The reason why that was never as big a deal, like I was never saying that was like some criminal behaviour, is because you get leaks all the time of what people are playing in scrims, or, by the way, the best one is if someone's just a dick, like if he doesn't like the other team, or he wants like someone on there to lose, then he just leaks something. Yeah, by the way, they're playing this, it's like their secret pick. Imagine if that happens, because if you don't know, guys, in the West, we're also individualistic. Even though they lie in interviews and say, oh, of course I want the other EU team. No, they don't. They want the other EU team to fucking lose and look shit, so that if we're shit, then they're shit too. But it's not that way when it's the other regions, I'm telling you. Like the LCK especially, they are literally going to tell people like stuff that they've seen in the scrim and the game and what the fucking picks would be. They share that info because to them, Korea should win, and then among that we can figure out who the best is. LPL, I know the coaches are all like in like this little secret cartel group where they all share stuff. So I feel like this is also where in the West, like, we're not even going to have that advantage of like the reconnaissance and like the information. We're just going to be going in blind, and then who knows? Listen, I'll tell you what, it will certainly be exciting. It will certainly be unexpected, but I just don't know how good it's going to be.
I have some fun stories on that actually. But the first thing I'd say is whenever something important is on the line, everyone does anything to get a lead start.
Right.
So everyone leaks and exchanges information. It's not necessarily just leaking and just giving, you're receiving something.
Sure.
It happens within the region every time there's Worlds on the line or an MSI event. At Worlds, regions leak to each other, and we've even had Korean teams leak like scrim strats to us from other Korean teams because they wanted to see the other team fail.
Oh, wow, right.
And we've been accused of, this was Season 7 MSI.
Oh, yeah.
The World Elite thought that we told TSM
Yes.
that they would play Lucian. Now, they of course don't know that as a Western team, there's no team you hate more than TSM and want to see lose more than TSM,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
So it was a ridiculous kind of. They thought, oh, Western team, they're leaking
Right.
information. Oh hell no, brother, yeah. We're on your side. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen it. I mean, I can say this now because I'm a coach. But like, I'm retired now, so I don't care anymore. But like, I've seen people like sometimes, you know, when you go to an international competition, you're in like a massive hotel. You know, it's so easy to find somewhere, you know, peaceful and quiet. You know, you go into somebody's bedroom. You know, you just have the talk there, or like, you know, go for a walk outside. I've seen people literally leak stuff in corridors.
Oh, wow.
You know, like we're all in the same scrim corridor with our scrim rooms. Like I've heard these things just happen, right? Like everyone knows it happens. You wish it didn't happen. Yeah. But like and I'm not going to say everyone does it equally, and I don't want to get into the weeds about who does what, because I'm just going to leave it as a general vague thing out there. I'm not going to say one region does it more or things like this, because I don't want to start an inter-regional war over it. But like, what I would say is, yeah, firstly, everyone hates TSM, but secondly, my headache. And then I just completely lost my track. Which is that. Oh yeah, sorry about the Fearless draft. Yeah, and also it gives you a bit more preparedness for the weird stuff as well.
Yes.
Right. So if you've seen a lot of best of fives, that means you're more likely to have seen a Zoe. I think it was in the T1 series yesterday.
Yes.
There was a Zoe. Game 5, like you've seen a Swain counter into Gallia or something. The Fearless, the thing which is scary about Fearless is that the first 2 or 3 games aren't that weird, but definitely when you get to Game 5, like the last pick counter picks become very, very weird. The AD carry picks become weird. And those kind of things are going to impact the most, Like, yes. It's possible to force people onto either really, really bad AD carries or mages. And for certain players who are like really, really good AD carry players, but not the best mage players, that lack of practice can really, really hurt them. And in EU, I would say that upsetted hands, for instance, are really at their best when they can play the AD carries. They can play mages, but like they're really, really at their best. You want hands to be on Draven, Lucian, Kalista, this kind of like early lane bully, which you're not going to get from the mages. And Upset, you want him on his hyper carries or his Ezreal or something like this, right? And this is going like having to not had that practice or not been forced to innovate before first stand is going to hurt them for lack of practice.
I'd also say as well, this is almost like a league specific like advantage as well, because I'll give you an example. In Counter-Strike, you can't really like describe a whole strategy that someone does and how they run it, etc. Like they run it maybe differently against your team, or they make a call in the middle of the round. The only thing you can really do that's equivalent in Counter-Strike is sometimes someone works on like a secret map that you don't think they pick, and then they maybe just against one opponent they're going to use it. But the reason why in League it's so massive is there are like a bazillion champions in the game, and we're playing Fearless on top of that. So as a result, like you're saying, it's not even just the idea of like they even play this. The worst one ever is this is their counter to this other pick. That's like their pocket pick counter. Well, if you know one of the things that people, because you haven't seen it in EU yet, especially you haven't seen the BO5s, the thing I'm actually looking forward to, which I think is one of the downsides of Fearless and will actually ruin it, is the coaches who are going to use information like that to essentially like not tank a game, but use like arbitrary, what do you call it? What's the attrition? Use the concept that like I'll actually just waste your secret pick, counter pick in a first game, so now it's not used at all in the series. There's another thing. That's another. You don't even have to actually ever play against. It's not that you just prep like, oh, he's going to do this pick. You can just pick it earlier in the series, maybe even a different lane, and then now it isn't even available anymore. And if you are the other coach, you're just going to be going like, fuck it. That's one of my backups. That's like the thing I've got in my pocket in case things go wrong. So. Like I say, there will be a lot of novelty. Just what people haven't realised is not everything novel's brilliant. Like if you walk out your house one day, the postman goes, hey, go, you pick up the milk. If the next day you walk out, someone throws a pile of shit in your face, that is incredibly novel. No one expected that. That's really changed how your obvious day is. Don't know if it's better. We'll see. You can obviously place your own bets as to which coach the draft would be the equivalent of throwing a pile of shit in their face. Have fun at home in the comments, right? See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.